Send it. We should be. I'm gonna just double check here on YouTube to make sure it's catching everything, and
Sure.
then I'll mute it so that I don't hear the feedback.
Got it.
Um,
The difficulty I have that with here, I don't do a whole lot of video conferencing, so I'm constantly switching back and forth. You could probably tell, like, am I supposed to be looking at my picture, your picture,
yeah.
or the camera?
Yeah, I just pretty much look at the camera. It's a little tricky for me just because I can have some things up and running, and then YouTube lags like 5 to 6 seconds behind. So
Right.
if I'm not careful and I'm looking at that, I'm like, why is it not working? But then it does end up working. But all right,
Uh,
all right. Since we're live, I'll just go ahead and introduce everybody. Welcome to the this is the Loose Barrel Podcast. I don't even know if I told you the name of it, but
yeah. No, I saw the
so
post.
but yeah, we have Gerhard Guevarra. How's my
How to do?
pronunciation? Perfect.
Yeah,
And
correct.
he's out of Fayetteville with All American Fencing Academy.
That's correct.
So he's here just looking to entertain ourselves during everybody. This is probably a trying time for most people, especially fencing community, since we can't really do anything.
Yeah.
Unless people have enough equipment at home and family members that can fence, with them. So, that's I guess just what it is. Which
We're finding the same issue. But probably the same with your club. We've got people that own their own equipment, and then you've got part of your club
yeah,
that still borrows your own stuff. They don't have stuff to work with that.
yeah, which I think it's just gonna be what it is. So, luckily, I mean, we live in this age where we can pretty much stay pretty active with Facebook and
Right.
things like that. So I mean, but yeah, I mean, I don't know where we want to start, but why don't we just start with the most recent stuff, which is they posted something late last night with that Summer Nationals is going to be postponed.
Yeah, I saw that too. Which I'm sure that there's going to be a part of the fencing community that says, okay, we're going to readjust, we're adjust fire, and there's a lot of people that plan their schedules around fencing competition. So to them, I think they'll be able to figure that out. Hopefully, travel accommodations will be accommodating for them, especially in their hotel reservations or flight reservations.
Yeah,
And then, of course, there's going to be a number of people that's like, well, that just messed up my summer. I had this plan for this time, and that's the same thing for our family. We usually have with 4 kids. We've got a lot of things planned throughout the summer. Okay, we're going to be at the beach this week. We're going to be at grandma and grandpa this week. For me, I don't know about you. Nobody was going to summer nationals, or we had a plan to. Did you have any people planning to go?
I think we have a few who have already qualified, at least youth fencers who have.
Right.
Obviously, I don't think most states have had their divisional qualifiers, but
Right.
I
Can't remember. North Carolina might have just had theirs.
yeah. So I mean, I don't. I think there's a handful, but I don't know if there was so many. I mean, it's also it's normally far away from here anyway, so I don't know how many people ever go, but yeah, I mean, it'll definitely change. I'm surprised. I thought they'd just outright cancel it, and I don't.
I was surprised too. Or they moved. They did move the Olympics to next year.
Yeah,
But we still got a pretty big summer ahead of us. Hoping against all hope that this thing might start to make its downturn from the curve within a month or so. That still gives U.S. fencing June and July to be able to do stuff. So maybe that's what they're hoping.
yeah. I mean,
Without now that they don't really have to compete with the Olympics, they've got a little bit of leeway in terms of time.
yeah. I'm not even sure. I bet they may even just outright cancel it.
Right.
I mean, after a while. I mean,
Because they did say, yeah, right now it's still tentative. We'll reschedule during this time, but things may still change.
yeah. I mean it. Yeah, I just don't. I mean, I tell everybody. I mean, Nationals is the biggest tournament in the world every year.
Right.
So I just don't. I don't know how, in good conscience, they would be able to have it. Meanwhile, all this stuff is going on.
And if they do, the atmosphere, probably the environment is going to have to be really different
Yeah.
because you and I have been to those types of competitions plenty of times, and you are packed.
Yeah.
Just at the strips where all the bags are,
Yep.
they're going to have to really change up some rules of how much is going to be around each other because people are sweating, people are moving, people are
Yeah.
touching. It's that atmosphere has to change if they're going to do it kind of still within the time period of,
Yeah.
COVID-19.
Yeah. 'Cause, I mean, we're not. I mean, I don't know about Fayetteville, but we have it. We've had it pretty light here, just because people are
Right.
pretty spread out. But like places
Right.
like New York
Your
City,
governor just closed down, your businesses, right?
correct.
Right.
Correct.
Ours closed it down like early or late March.
So yeah, I mean, I just don't know how. I mean, yeah. Plus, then I mean, you're talking about. I mean, I don't even know how people can compete. I mean, they haven't changed the date, so it's still supposed to be April 20th, right?
Right. Right.
So I don't know. I mean, are they going to push
How
that
are
back
people
too?
keeping up their own training?
Yeah, and I mean as well. I mean, we still have to go by state and local laws too. So even
Yeah.
if fencing comes back, so to speak,
Mhm.
we can't congregate more than 3 people. So it's just pretty much private lessons or group private lessons at that point. Is that enough for people to actually get enough training?
Mhm.
After not fencing for already a month.
Right.
So
Hopefully it's like I said. There's going to be your people that's very dedicated. That okay, I'm going to set up this room, set up 30 minutes a day or something, get some work in, get some blade work in. But yeah, it's really hard if you don't have a moving target. You don't
yeah,
have something to do realistic blade work. Hopefully they've got for me, I when we do our videos, I try to set up things where okay, hopefully you've got a parent or a sibling. This is simple stuff you can do. You can just walk back and forth. You don't have to know much about fencing to help them out, but walk back and forth and move your weapon this way. It gives them something to hit.
yeah. I don't know.
You know,
Strange times. Very very
yeah,
strange
it,
times.
it it really alters the way we have to do what we do and how we teach.
Yeah. I mean that's. Yeah. So I mean, hopefully we can fence sometime this summer. Would be very nice.
That would be pretty good.
But yeah, I mean, like you said, a lot of things will change.
Hmm.
Who knows? I mean, this may kill shaking hands completely.
Yeah,
I mean, forever.
right.
I mean,
And, it's not to make light of things, but we've always had the flu. We've always had other diseases.
yeah,
They said this might become a seasonal thing. Um, hopefully, fortunately, hopefully, we may have a vaccine for it in the future. But yeah, like I said, it might take a while for things to go back to normal. Um,
yeah,
not to compare it with 9/11, but you look at the repercussions of 9/11. Okay, now I got to take off my shoes every time I
yeah,
go through the airport security. But before that, we never had to do that, but now we do it all the time. It's just become the new normal, and it might be something that, hey, we shook hands for forever. Okay, what do we? Here's an alternative. Here's
yeah,
we're going to do. We've got the salute that deals with it.
yeah.
But that'll be strange.
Well, I mean,
Even when
we've
even
had
during bouts. Go ahead.
we've had alternatives already, though, right? I mean, some people do the elbow anyways, and
Yeah,
I,
yeah,
I know a lot of especially small kids. If they don't want to shake little boys don't want to shake girl hands because they got cooties or whatever, they've always done the knock guards too.
yeah.
I've
Oh yeah,
taught them
yeah, yeah.
that
Yeah,
too.
we
So
did that too.
I mean, so I guess there are alternatives, but I'm sure there'll always be people who just want to shake hands just because
Right.
I've been doing that for 20 years. I'm sure
Yeah,
you've been
and
doing it
it
longer.
becomes so ingrained in you, like they have a bout or you for us right before we closed down when I did put in the rule in the club. Okay, for this time, no more shaking hands. Do whatever else you want, but I'd give lessons, and I would part of my habit during the lesson is just giving a high five.
Yeah,
Like, great job. We're going to change sides, and as we change sides, I'm going to give you a high five. And I find ourselves walking towards my first and I've got my hand up going, oh, I'm sorry. No, it's like,
yeah, it's gonna take a lot to change things. But, as long as fencing comes back, I don't really care.
right.
The capacity,
I think that's the same for all of us.
But, hopefully soon, not too soon, but
right.
just soon, but
right.
Yeah, because they
were the best thing that I could say, that I was speaking with Coach for a lot of our fencers. Hey, you got to keep up your footwork, do what you can, set up a target if you can, get a family member's help, and hopefully in this process we get kind of more participation with our family members, with our parents, having them understand what we're doing as coaches. Okay, now I help my child do their math. Okay, now I understand math now. My daughter, she used to fence for a while back. I've got 4 kids, by the way. 3 of them still actively fence, 2 compete, 1 just likes to take classes. 1 took classes and lessons a while back. She was the kind that absolutely hated competition, so she took a step back from fencing, but she's got health and PE in high school right now, and she has assignments. So you've got to do something. So sometimes she'll meditate, she'll do this. I said, hey, why don't you come to the club with me when I'm making videos, and I'll give you some footwork and blade work, so you can add that to your activities. So again, it puts parents in a position. It's like, oh, okay, I understand what coach is having to go through now.
Yeah. Well, you're also lucky that you have 4 kids that can fence each other too.
Yeah.
So you got
and me.
and you. Yeah. It helps that you have access to everything still.
How old's your son now?
He's 5.
He's 5.
So I think technically, we've been working because he can start competing in Y8 this coming season. So we do lessons.
If you can find a Y8 competition.
Yeah, that's right. Well, there's a few, and then I have a club. I have ability to hold tournaments. So.
That's what I do.
I mainly start my kids at 8, but there's always those kids who are right there at that number where they can compete at Y8. So, he'll have people. They'll be like
7.
They'll be 3 years older than him, but he's at the club all the time, anyways. He might as well be practicing.
But it's nice when they get to teenage age and they're able to go toe to toe with you.
Yeah, That's good. I guess steering away from Corona now, I'm sure everybody is always talking about it and they want to talk less about it. When did you start All-American Fencing Academy? Is that all you?
Yeah, it was all me. Just to give you a brief history, I started fencing in college. And so prior to college, I didn't fence in high school. I did martial arts. I ran track in high school. But I was reasonably athletic, and when I was headed off to college, I had 2 best friends. One was already in college, the other one was graduating the same year that I was. They were at NC State. I was headed to UNC, and my buddies said, "Oh, when we get to state, we're gonna keep going. We're gonna go to the fencing club." And at the time, I said, "Okay, are you guys gonna do fencing? I'm the Asian one." So find kendo. I never did find kendo, and I was lucky enough to get into the fencing class my freshman year. And at the time, Coach Miller was one of the few, and if not only, NCAA coaches that's still at UNC that also taught PE classes. I ended up in his PE class my freshman year, and there was a number of people in that class that he said, "Hey, I would love to see you guys come back and try out your sophomore year." So I can think of 2 other people in my class that we both tried out and made we made the fencing team the second year. Stockton Butler, Alexander Gilmore, and myself.
Oh, nice.
We were all in the same class. We all tried out our sophomore year. We made a team. And that was all of our first experience with fencing. When I graduated from college, I taught middle school for for a year in Roanoke Rapids, and for a little bit I was just teaching some classes at the recreation center over there. After a year, I took a center director position here at Fayetteville, North Carolina, which is where I was originally from. My father was in the military, and when I took the center director position at a recreation center, I've got a recreation center, I've got a multi-purpose room, I'll teach classes, and it was fine for Parks and Recreation because they didn't have to pay an extra instructor. I was just, they were getting money from me teaching classes at the rec center, and then for a while after that, when I switched jobs to where I am on Fort Bragg right now, we were on Fort Bragg for about 2 or 3 years at a middle school gym, to the point where we started, hey, we really need a place for our own because, especially if you're at a middle school gym, you compete with other after-school activities.
Right.
In parts of the year, we had to move to the cafeteria because we just couldn't use a gym. So eventually, we were lucky enough to find a place in downtown Fayetteville that we were able to rent, and it's been All-American Fencing Academy since. Prior to that, we were an affiliate club of North Carolina Fencing Development Program, which was Coach Miller's club. And then once we ended up on Fort Bragg and downtown Fayetteville, it's been the All-American Fencing Academy.
Nice.
About well over 15 years now. I think.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I can remember, I remember you being with that club and having that club, because I'm pretty sure the first time I ever met you, saw you, or fenced you was in Columbia when Rick Thompson would have his tournaments at the club. Yeah. So I mean, you always bring a giant banner, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's.
I'm trying to remember which banner that was. I probably did. It might have been. Oh, I can't remember. I know we did have a banner.
Yeah. So, I mean, you always seem to bring some fencers down, and I mean, you always had a great style too.
Thank you.
As far as I remember,
Thank you.
I felt like you were one of like the first people that I really admired. You had a very, not an athletic style, but you were extremely explosive and mobile. If that makes sense, like a lot of people, especially before kind of like the modern interpretation of like marching and things like that. There wasn't as much movement. I feel like then you're a very powerful, explosive fencer, which I hadn't really seen. But no, you just had a great style. I also had for a while as well, maybe like 2010, 2011, 2012. We had like 3 or 4 bouts where I was so tormented over those bouts because
I think I remember those bouts.
all 3 of those, I got up to a very healthy lead, and then I blew all 3 of them.
I remember them.
One being like 9-2.
2 of them might have been a finals round.
Correct. They all were. One was in the final, and then there were 2 semifinals. And it really tormented me every single time because it was like every tournament that I felt like I was at with you, we ended up there, and I would get this lead, and then I would just blow it.
Right.
It was so frustrating. And
I wouldn't say you blew it. I mean, there's 2 parts of fencing, definitely. It's what you do and what I do. There's. I'm sure you teach this to a lot of fencers. It's a chess game, and you're constantly trying to think ahead of whatever your opponent's thinking.
Right.
Fortunately, I would love to say that I managed to stay ahead of you, or probably got lucky on a few of those touches. I remember the one in here, the one where I did catch up. There was a few touches where I was like, "Whew, glad I pulled that one off."
Yeah. No, it's not. But the reason I bring that up is, I felt like for me it was a great. It just literally forced me to have to get a different mentality when I'm there and having to close out people when things are working instead of getting on. Because I think I either just got ahead of myself or the bout in my mind was over, and I was no longer thinking about.
All I needed is a touch.
You know what I mean? And instead of working touch to touch and getting those things, and it was just, it took 3 hard lessons to finally sink in. And
I was the same thing, doing the same thing that you're saying. And now when you're at 14 and I'm at 10 or 9, oh, I got to make all these count. I
Yeah.
can't willy nilly this and hope that this works. Um, there's a lot of, especially when you get over 40, when you're fencing kids that are twice as fast as you. Um, a lot of times I go in there thinking I'm smarter than you. I can read this, I can see this, and hopefully you're thinking I could just go faster and make this work. So when I'm not as fast as I used to be, I'm using a lot of problem solving, and then hopefully I can get this work. I see you're trying to do this, and I'm going to counter that with this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do remember those bouts. It's one of those where it's like, okay, I've seen this is happening, and I remember the Durham one pretty clearly.
Yeah.
Because you were up on me. You had great feint deceives.
Thank you.
And they were killing me. And so I managed to come back with a couple touches of just counterattacks into your feint deceive. And then at that point, you said to yourself, or I could see yourself thinking, okay, don't do any more feint deceives. He's countering into that. But I knew that wasn't going to work forever. And I was prepared to just take a straight parry repost. And I remember the final touch. The final touch was I was intentionally trying to show you, it's like, look, I want to do a parry repost. I want to do a parry repost with the intention, and hopefully this is almost thinking 2 or 3 steps ahead, with the intention of you thinking, okay, he's going to counterattack. I need to just go straight. And the final touch was one of those. It's like, okay, this is either going to work, and I'm going to win this, or I'm going to go out in a blaze of glory.
Yeah.
The last touch was, okay, I'm showing him this parry repost. I want him to go straight. I'm just going to escape. I'm going to duck,
Yeah.
and hopefully this I pull this off. And I got a little lucky. And Dave Burns was refereeing that bout. He said it was either Dave Burns or Tom Bryan. He said, had he hit you off target, because I think I already had a yellow card for something else. Had he hit you off target on your mask, I would have counted that as covering target. And you would have had a second yellow card. I said, well, thankfully it didn't hit my mask.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I also remember a lot of bouts in that facility. That was such a nice facility. I really liked. I really like. I mean, not that big fencing clubs are great, or not great, because obviously we have a large fencing facility.
Yeah.
But there's something about those small, little clubs,
Right.
that just have that feel about it.
Right.
And Dr. Volkman's old club was kind of like that.
Yeah.
Upstairs in Augusta, and that one in Durham was very much. It was small, compact, had a lot of strips in it, and it just had a great atmosphere in him. So I remember a lot of bouts in that facility. Not that their facility now is gorgeous in Durham.
Oh yeah, it is. So, it's nice. Having that second floor is kind of nice.
Yeah, it's for spectators.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was those tournaments at that club were great. I really liked that.
It's nice being in there, but when especially if you have tournaments, you've got that many people.
Yeah.
There is some difficulty with whether parking or just finding a space in club. You've been to our place. It's unfortunate that, I've got this room just for competition, and you've got this whole other big room where everyone could park.
Yeah. Yeah. Y'all's has a nice facility as well. I really like y'all's facility.
We're lucky. We've got good floors. I didn't have to put anything down.
Oh, nice.
And we've got giant mirrors. It used to be a ballet studio before we were.
So that floor was already there.
Oh, yeah.
We had to build our floor.
Yeah, so most people do, especially if they're in like a warehouse type place.
Yeah.
They either put down a whole floor like Mid-South does.
Yeah.
Using probably Rudy Volkman's design.
Yep.
Or they do a floor just for the strip. Like if you remember Raleigh Fencers Club, if you had ever fenced there before they disbanded, they were in a warehouse, but they had wood down just for the strips.
Oh, okay. So every strip, yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, I'd never been to that club. Did they hold a lot of tournaments?
They did. We, especially back when we just started, between when we were on Fort Bragg and our early days in downtown Fayetteville, we loved going down to Raleigh Fencers Club, and it was at the time when my kids, not my kids, but my older students who's graduated and have their own families and married, they were in high school at the time. They always felt that Raleigh Fencers was our rivals. They were great.
Gotcha.
They were really good fencers, but not so great that we couldn't beat them. It was a constant back and forth. So our fencers loved going over there, and they loved the fencers over there. It was a great atmosphere. Now, with the crew that I have now, they really enjoy going down to Wilmington.
Yeah.
The fencing is great there. The people is great. No one. It's not like every other fencer is completely out of their league.
Yeah.
They can go. They can have a good bout with any of those fencers.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I always really liked going up to Durham. That was one of my favorite places to go because when I was in Columbia before we started the club here, I didn't really have anybody at my club who would travel and fence.
Right.
So I'd go solo to all these places. And so I'd really just go to the places that I knew I was gonna fence the people that I had difficulties with. So I'd always search for your name, and there were people in Atlanta that I'd search for because there was just nobody, and I was like, I need to fence my peers and people who are at a higher level than me as well.
We'll challenge you, yeah.
Yeah, because nothing against Columbia, but especially at the time, it was just nobody. So I was able to go to Charlotte for a while until Touche closed. But if you want to,
place is really nice, and especially having their equipment there.
Correct.
It's like, okay, I just broke a weapon. I need something else.
Yeah. And that was, not that PBT is the most amazing equipment, but that's the biggest thing why I wore it for a long time is because they sold it, and it was right there. I could try everything on. I'd call them up and I'd go up there on a weekend, even if they didn't have a tournament.
And I loved it because, and I can't remember the other guy's name that was over there, Peter and whoever else.
Gilbert.
Gilbert, yeah, Gilbert Bailey. For the longest time, like in college, everything was triplet for me because all of our equipment came from triplet. And then I went to PBT because I could just tell Gilbert or Peters, I need my weapon. And they knew exactly what kind of bend I liked in my weapon, what kind of cant I loved in my weapon, which materials I liked. I didn't have to explain it to them. And when PBT left, I went to fencing.net for the longest time.
Yeah.
And again, I was able to do the same thing. I said, hey, Craig, I need a new BFFIE with all the parts that I like. Yeah. And I didn't have to explain it to him. He just put it all together, and it was exactly how I wanted it to be.
Yeah. That was great. The local places are nice when they're around.
Yeah.
Well, Triplets, North Carolina, isn't it?
It is. It's in Elka, North Carolina. For me, I think it's about 5-6 hours, so a little bit further away. Yeah. But Triplet's not the name that it used to be. They still sell fencing equipment, but it's not the name that you hear all the time now. Yeah. Not like it was 15 years ago.
Well, I also feel like, once Absolute Fencing came around, they have such a corner on the market now. They have
they do.
So much stuff, and they give you such a great discount as club owners.
Hey, there's a special guest there.
No, that's my cat.
Gong Lu, Gary Lu. Now all my equipment comes from PBT. I'm sorry, not PBT, Absolute. Just a quick side story. I knew Gong when we were both fencing in college.
Oh, wow.
He fenced for Penn State at the time. I think he was a year ahead of me, but I fenced him several times during the dual meets in college. And then when he started Absolute, I called one time and I said, hey, whoever answered the phone, can I speak to Gong Lu? They're like, who? Gong Lu. Like, who? I said, they're like, do you mean Gary Lu? I said, sure. And he comes on the phone. I can immediately tell it's Gong. I said, hey, is this Gary? He goes, yeah, this is Gary. I said, what's with Gary? Sometimes Gong is difficult for people. How is Gong difficult for people? It's one syllable,
Well, us white people, we have issues sometimes with pronouncing things that aren't like John or Dave. So, just one of those things. Yeah. But yeah, we get all of our stuff through them just because they get a good discount. And I don't really have all my gear now is such a hodgepodge of gear.
Right.
It's all over the place.
Most of the club stuff is absolute. Most of my kids' equipment, my own personal kids' equipment, is absolute. Couple personalizations, like my son just transitioned from. We used to use he liked the absolute golds, but
Oh yeah.
man, he's rough on those. He busted three in a row. Like they just shattered. I'm like,
Yeah,
wow.
I don't have a good track record with non-FIE blades. I think just
Mhm.
the way that I fence,
Mhm.
I mean, and I've tried them all. They just snap. Yeah,
Yeah, really.
I don't know if I have a terrible
Better
sense of
distance.
distance, and and it just, but they snap, or I'm just rough on them, or what it is. But the,
My let's see, my son now's got the BF mediums, with, and he's finally discovered the type of grip that he likes. I use mostly all my weapons are BF uh, hard, the hardest
Mhm.
one. I've got one of the Franchinis. They're really nice. They're incredibly expensive, so I only
Yeah,
have one just to say, hey, do I like this? Um, but I'll stick with BFs. And then the other parts, German tips and Leon Paul plugs and grips is what I use.
yeah. For uh, for a while, all your club stuff was bayonet, wasn't it? Was that
They
you?
still are.
They
They
still
still
are.
are.
Is it?
We started with because my fencing genesis started with Coach Miller, and so he taught me everything I know about repair and armoring. And so, okay, two prong, easy to fix. I know to fix these. And I'm sure you have this at your club too. Maybe there's such a hodgepodge of different types of two prong. You've got your
Yeah.
German, you got your French parts, and I had all of these Frankenstein parts that, okay, I need to fix something. I need to find this. I need to find this. And then one of our old coaches, John Page, he said, hey, look, I've always used bayonet, and these are pretty easy. They very rarely something goes wrong, and that's been our experience. I like the bayonets. They're not quite as easy to fix as two prong, but they've been pretty reliable. It's just when they do break, oh, they break, they're gone.
Yeah.
So, but I've been pretty, and now that we have most bayonets, uh, their pieces are interchangeable. The only thing that I find that Leon Paul bayonets don't like anything else. Like if I
Yeah.
try Leon Paul bayonet body cord on an absolute plug, you're going to get white lights all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely have that issue because we have so many different body cords and so
Yeah.
many different sockets. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they'll ground just because the socket doesn't fit
Right.
and then everybody says that this body cord's bad or this blade is bad. I'm like, well, no, just change the body cord. It's a different
Learn to
one.
fix
So
it. Learn to
half
diagnose what's wrong with it. Don't just
half
tell me it's bad.
half of the stuff that's wrong in the club is because people just it's not working and they throw it in a pile, and then
Right.
I go through this pile and I was like, it's all working. It's just
Mm-hmm.
not compatible with whatever you grabbed, or
Same thing with us. We've had, like, we've got an armory table where it's just like I'll go over there. It's like there's a bunch of weapons and a bunch of body cords. Like, well, at least tell me what's wrong with it
yeah.
before you put it over here,
Well,
or learn to diagnose what's wrong with it.
well, we were planning on having probably like a little armory clinic at the
Mm-hmm.
club just so people can get. And then I have this form that I created that I want to put over there that if a blade comes over here without a form and
Yeah.
it's not described to me, I can't fix it, especially epes. I was so late in the game with epes as far as like my fencing, only in the past like 5-6 years. I have no
Yeah.
idea what's going on with them, and so much stuff can go wrong, and I don't know. Really, I know a few things, but if it's not described to me what's going on with the epe, I have no idea.
There's one of our other armors that works with us. I'll have to call him. It's like, I've tested this. I've tested this. I'm still getting absolutely no light on this epe. I have no idea what else to test.
Yeah. It's a. I just
I've got a couple signs right over our armory of quick triage of how to figure out your weapon,
yeah.
and then I've got another sign on how to figure out if your saber is not working, and the sign says if your saber is in one piece, it's fine.
Yeah.
If your saber's in two pieces, it's broken.
Yeah. Yeah. Epee just, it baffles me. Foil, I can almost smell a foil and know what's wrong
Yeah,
with it.
yeah, yeah,
Just,
yeah.
because it's so simple, and
Yeah.
obviously I've been doing it for so long too. But
Start at the
Epee
tip,
is,
work your way down. Nothing on the blade. Look at your plug.
yeah,
Plug. Okay, here's how you test if it's the body cord. Okay.
yeah,
And sometimes I've had to have people tell me, something's wrong with your Rio, something's wrong with the box. Like,
yeah,
typically that's not the issue.
yeah. Most of the time, yeah. But it is. I mean, Epe's just, I don't. Do you fence Epee at all?
When I have to.
Oh, say there you go. So you're very much. When I moved to Charleston, there was only Epee. There were two. There were two. There was like a third club. It was foil, but I didn't discover it for a while.
Yeah.
Because it was hidden. Pete, if you're watching, talking to you.
Especially when you're that tall.
Correct.
And I'm going to share this with my fencers, and some of them might have met you before, especially if they've gone down to Wilmington. How tall are you, Patrick?
6'3".
6'3". So dealing with you as any fencer that's 6'3", it's like, oh, come on. Foil is, for me, it's not so bad. It's like, okay, I can use rules, but when it's Epee, it's like, oh Christ Almighty.
Well, and here's my thing, because people always say that about Epee. I think height matters more in foil, because let's say your arm is 4 inches shorter than mine.
Yeah.
So I can hit your torso 4 inches sooner than you can hit mine. But in Epee, my hand is just as far away as your hand.
Right.
It's just, I don't know. That's just my personal opinion.
But for me, it's I can use rules in foil, and I don't necessarily have to be like, I can get closer, but if I can use priority, then I've got a chance. And
Sure.
Epee is like, Christ,
It's
if I even try to simultaneous attack this, the disadvantage is on my side.
Yeah. Well, my biggest issue when I first started fencing Epee when I moved here was, in most attacks, in foil, my hand are up. So if I'm not thinking and I'm just fencing, my hand's going to go up. They're going to pop my hand, and I'm like, well, that wasn't fun at all.
A little bit of history. When I first started coaching, when I moved back down to Fayetteville, I'm a foil fencer by training. That's what I competed in college. But when I first started coaching, I told myself, people will like saber. So the first thing that I started coaching was saber, and then we started to get some Epee fencers in our club. And so when I started teaching in Fayetteville, in order, it was saber first, Epee, and then I was like usually the one foil fencer.
Yeah.
And so that's how I learned to coach the other weapons. And one of my kids that I was teaching had gotten really good, and he was just nailing me all the time in my arm. And then at one point we were at this club, and I'm warming up in front of this mirror for an Epee bout. And I look at myself, it's like, that's why he's nailing me in my arm, because I have my arm up like a foil fencer.
Yep. Yeah, that'll do it. Yeah, Epee, I tell everybody, Epee is very much like communism, where everybody can get a point.
Uh-huh.
And that's, yeah, we don't.
I used to say, okay, joke that Epee was the lazy weapon. And then for a while we had Isaac Erbley at our club. Great Epee fencer, came out of California, and then he went to West Point for college, and then he fenced at Washington D.C. for a little bit. Great Epee fencer. He didn't take kindly to me saying that Epee was a lazy one. So I think that's where I changed it to. I describe it to kids. It's like, it's kind of more like snipers. They're going to sit there all day. They're going to wait for that one open hit. Boom. That's when they go. So they're going to sit and wait it out until the opening comes up. And when they go, they go.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun, and I do enjoy fencing it. And, like I said, there was only Epee fencers here. And so when we started the club, I started everybody on foil. So as a little gotcha.
We have a small number of Epee fencers. So sometimes when their coach isn't able to make in, I have to go back into the position that I used to do, where I was teaching all three weapons.
Yeah.
And so I've gotten back into coaching Epee. which is I think the most difficult for me because saber and foil to me similar wise, and I can strategize kind of similarly in saber and foil, but epee my ability to visualize these different scenarios is a little bit more difficult for me.
Yeah.
Only if I don't have that experience.
When I am formulating a lesson plan for epee or I'm trying to teach them epee, I pretty much just think of foil with a terrible director. Control the blade, get one light, and that's all you need. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the best way that I kind of focused in on it and getting there. But I don't know. I mean, it's such a weird weapon. I don't know. And heavy. I got these skinny arms, and I really can't hold it up very long.
When I first would fence epee, I realized that I was getting a headache, and I think it was because I was tensing up so much from being prepared to get nailed in the head. I would tense so much, thinking that someone would just do a straight headshot, and that was my experience early on in epee.
I feel like there's an unwritten rule not to aim for the mask, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can still, if you hit it, but like I feel like most people don't like to be hit there, so why would you aim for it? I don't know how many hits in the mask happen in every tournament, but it doesn't seem like a lot.
I don't know much, but I can tell you, I think part of it is just like, I'm going to nail you on the mask. I mean, there's one thing to get nailed in the toe.
Yeah.
Like, oh, wow, you got a toe touch. But getting nailed in the mask, like dead on, is like, okay.
Yeah. And especially depending on the fit of your mask, it scrapes on the cheese grater.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's no good. I mean,
or if it's really close to your nose, you're going to feel it.
I wonder the same thing. I wonder how many people hit the mask in epee every tournament, and then I wonder how many bib touches happen in foil every tournament. Because I feel like I don't get hit on the bib that much since the change.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, that rule change was like, I gotta get another mask.
Yeah.
But yeah, I understand because there's been some people I fenced against like, good Lord, how big is that bib?
You blame Blue Gauntlet. They had the giant bibs.
Did they?
I think so. Yeah.
But then there's people like me who's like 70% of my touches came on your back. So.
You're right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I also think, and maybe this is not true, but I always think that like Liam Paul had a big hand in that. They're like, oh, we'll get this rule change,
right,
and then we'll sell a lot of masks because that's when the exchange mask came out.
Oh, right.
Right around that time, and then everybody bought it, because I went out and I bought an All-Star mask, and I felt everybody else went out and bought a Liam Paul mask.
I had for the longest time, I think a PBT FIE.
Oh yeah,
and then it was only within the last 3 or 4 years that I bought the exchange mask. It's like, you know what? I'm tired of having these masks and the bib goes bad.
Yeah.
And I got to get a new mask when everything else on it is fine.
But you can't tell me that bib isn't just as expensive as another mask.
Oh gosh, it's like $50 or $60.
So you can just get it. You can just get another like basic mask for that price.
Yeah.
And it sucks too because like that's how everybody takes the mask off is the bib. Right. So it's not damage from a point. It's damage from you putting your grubby fingers on that bib.
Unfortunately, I think because my history for I used to wear glasses. It wasn't until like 2 or 3 years ago that I was starting to wear contacts, and so I'm used to not flipping it up like this because I had glasses on. I would always come from the back to leave the masks on. Same thing with putting it on, and so I still do that with my Leon Paul. Very rarely do I actually flip it up like a hat. When I take it on and off, it's always from the back. And so, fortunately, it's I'm not putting my hands all over my bib.
Yeah, that's what because I had the All-Star, and it went bad after maybe 2 years. And then I had a PBT FIE mask, and I retrofitted a bib onto that, and that's what I've been using. And I now take it off like this,
right?
Like an idiot.
You know what? Here's something I inherited a number of masks and there's usually just one small dead spot on the bib, and I've tried cleaning it, but we've got a number of also lamays that are dead spots in the front.
It.
Right. So I've been wanting to patch it with the old lamays, and I still haven't seen it. Now would be a great time to do that. I just lazy.
There's a company that I bought like sticker patches from. Like they're like lamé stickers, and I used it on a lamé of mine. And you just cut a little piece out, and you adhere. And then I think I think they say that you can. I cannot for the life of me. Oh man,
I don't know why they don't sell. I guess they would rather sell new lamays, but yeah, that would be. I mean, a great.
Yeah, it worked. Like the back and the front was magnetic, so as long as it covered a piece that was not dead, you just stick it over there, and it would, it'd be like a temporary. Like I think it wore off after maybe like 6 months, and then I just put another.
If you need something at a tournament, it's like dead spot.
Correct.
Especially, a local tournament, not like a knack or something, but yeah, that's and even for club equipment, that's a good easy pick for club equipment.
I'll have to look, and I think I still may have one, so I'll look at the brand. I'll send you a message.
I don't know how often you get like bulk stuff, but if I need to get like I'm just gonna replace a whole bunch of lamays, or when I bought all my foil masks with the bibs, we saved a little bit and we bought them direct from some Chinese company. And they're actually not bad equipment, especially for club equipment.
Sure, yeah. I think a lot of that base brand or base level is very similar. I mean, I don't think, in my opinion, there's not much change in those, or change in quality in those. I think it's between FIE masks, in my opinion.
Right.
But yeah, I think send me that information.
I'll do that.
I mean. Obviously, all the clubs will have to check finances at this point too.
Yeah, I've always been known to be a penny pincher. Like even kids that have been with me that coached with me, they're like, Gerhard, you're fine. You can afford this. Go ahead and get those masks.
Yeah.
I just right before all of this happened, I've applied for and won a number of grants. And a lot of them I used to purchase new equipment. I just applied right before all of this happened for a $50,000 grant.
Oh wow!
They extended and it was one of those. I'm hoping that I have a good shot at it, because it wasn't like the FedEx Small Business Grant was like, okay, everyone in the world applied for that. This one I hadn't really heard about or hadn't seen a lot of announcements about. Like, okay, hopefully my business is unique enough. Hopefully I get a good shot at this. And then they extended the deadline period, I guess, because of all this happened.
Yeah. I mean, you've already think so. You're probably hoping they close it real soon.
Yeah, I really do.
Yeah, sneak in there.
I really do. I spent a lot of time, and the other coach that helps me out, he's looking at the question. He goes, "This looks like it was written by an MBA." Like, why are you an MBA? He goes, yes, I know these types of questions. Like, good, you can help me write this grant.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Good for you. Yeah, I mean, I think everything will be all right. I mean, luckily, I'm sure with all the stimulus, there'll be plenty of small business grant loans or forgiveness out there for everybody. So, I mean, obviously, nobody can evict anybody right now, so it's not like we're going anywhere. So, I think everybody will be okay. Hopefully. I mean, hopefully not a lot of fencing clubs have to close.
There's going to be a time of readjustment and trying to, okay, everyone's back, but we have these expenses that we need to cover. It'll take a little bit, but we'll get back to normal.
I mean, I think the biggest thing is depending on how soon fencing comes back. I know a lot of clubs, most of their money comes in through summer camps during the summer.
Yeah.
And if we can't fence during that time, we can't have those camps.
Right. I was scheduled to be helping out Coach Miller over at NCFTP at Chapel Hill for their camp is in June.
Yeah.
They just sent an email out, said, "Hey, we're still making a decision. We don't know what's going to happen, but we'll let you know." And then my camp I usually schedule in June. This time I scheduled in July. So we'll see if I've already got people pre-registered for camp.
Yeah.
That not my regular students. So hopefully if we have summer nationals later this summer, then that hopefully I can still
Yeah.
have my camp.
We had beginners camps that were set up for spring break
Mm-hmm.
for the counties, and every morning last week I got a notification that my beginners camp was supposed to be starting at 9 a.m. and that didn't happen. But no, we have camps at the club, and then we had camps at a school, two
Yeah.
camps at a school, and then I had two camps for the town of Mount Pleasant as well. That I
Yeah. Yeah.
that I know for Mount Pleasant were full, so I'm sure the one in June's not going to happen, but the one in August might. So I mean, who knows? So, you know, I think we'll be all right. I mean, have you met one of our coaches, Anne Marie Ledun?
No, I don't
She
think
fe-
so.
yeah, she fences epee, so it's
I've only met what's
Ian.
his name? Dubé. Yeah,
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 Ian
yeah,
Dubé, and then
yeah,
Bob Monez.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I think he's more of an honorary coach. He fills in. He doesn't do much coaching anymore.
Uh,
But he's actually our medal getter. He has a bunch of medals at the Pan American
Last
Games.
name Mones, right?
Correct.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Correct.
He knew our coach, John Page,
Yeah.
because they all came from the New York area.
Yeah. Bob knows everybody from that area.
Bob, I think a bunch of his brothers fenced too, right?
Yep, all of them.
All of them
One,
did.
one of them was supposed to go to the Olympics, but that was the year that the U.S. Boycotted the Russian Olympics.
Ah, yeah.
So, I mean, who knows? But yeah, we'll be out. But anyways, Anne Marie's like our go-getter. She knows all about the finances and things. So she's in charge of that, and I'm the one sending hopes and prayers.
Right.
That's my job.
Right.
But is fencing's all you do? Do you have anything else that?
No,
full-time?
that's not my full time job. That was fencing. I partly created because when I moved back down to Fayetteville, there was no fencing here, and I was 20, 22 at the time. I was like, I got a fence, want a fence. And the only way for me to do it is to teach other people to fence.
Yeah.
And so my degree was fortunately physical education, exercise, sports science.
Yeah, there you go.
After college, go figure, I taught business technology at a middle school. So go figure why I don't do that anymore. And then I was a center director for Parks and Recreation. But I started teaching fencing because I loved fencing. I wanted that to be a part of my life. And so I started teaching it. But my full-time job is I'm a liaison officer here at Fort Bragg,
Oh, nice.
for the Army.
Okay.
Again, fortunately enough that although we are on admin leave right now, I can still pay bills.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah,
That's good. Yep. I was
the Army. It's the Army.
Yeah, no, that's good. Quite lucky, a lot luckier than a lot of people. I mean,
Right.
especially I can't imagine some people having giant families and giant houses and no way to pay for it right now.
Right.
So,
Right.
Yeah, we're quite lucky indeed. But that's cool. I mean, what's your class schedule during the week? Do you?
We only teach. Actually, I only teach twice a week, Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
Okay.
So I'm always actively looking for that keeps the club afloat. But I'm always looking. I've got Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays. I would love to have another coach. Our club is great for part-time coaches. It's difficult if I worked a little bit harder on trying to make a bigger club. I could probably do that, but then that would also involve me having to teach more than twice a week.
Yeah.
But it's a great club for hey, someone just graduated college, wants to coach. Maybe their degrees in education, they've got a full-time job, they don't want coaching to be their full-time job, but they want to make a little extra money and want to continue coaching or want to continue something in fencing. My club is great for that. A lot of the previous coaches that we had, it was just kind of a little bit of luck, a little bit of serendipity. Like Coach John, he worked on Fort Bragg until he retired, and so he was with us for a while. Maya Cameron, her husband was in the military, great epee coach that came from Texas. I think Fencing Institute of Texas, I can't remember. And we also had Ola Soka. She was a Polish Olympian. She's now fencing for the U.S. There's been some stories about her
Yeah.
recently. But her husband was a lieutenant in the U.S. Army, and so we got her for a little bit. so we've been lucky with some of the people that have ended up living in Fayetteville, but also the drawback that is we got people coming and going. So we're not a full-time club. Would love to be able to have more time so I can give private lessons or other coaches to open up, because for some people the times that we have classes is just not feasible for them.
Yeah.
They want events, but we're only available Thursdays because we go to Boy Scouts on Monday, or Tuesdays. We go to church on Wednesdays. We can't make it out on those days, and that's just kind of unfortunate for me. Also a good problem to have that people want to do it, but I can't fill up all the time.
Yeah, we try to pack everything in. Our club itself is open Monday through Thursday. We don't have anything on Friday, but then I also teach at satellite programs before all those classes as well. So I got a ton of those that it's really like I teach like 5-6 days a week. So it is a lot. But it was that's what I quit my job. Because I was a vet tech for a long time.
Yeah, I remember when you did that.
And it was either keep doing that and fencing only happens 1 or 2 days a week, or somebody bites the bullet and has to be poor for a while.
Right.
So I'm okay with being poor for a while.
Everyone's been there, right?
Everyone, yeah. What's the difference?
Yeah.
But no, it's we've been able to grow the fencing community here massively in the time. So it's so worth it, and hopefully it just keeps growing, and we have more and more tournaments. I think we've held the most tournaments in South Carolina.
Yeah. You have those unsanctioned tournaments that you do. I honestly try to look at my schedules like, okay, I haven't visited my mom and dad in a while. A little background for the people that are listening. My parents live down in Charleston. So it's like, okay, we're going to be down in Charleston, or Patrick's got this tournament going on. Have I gone home recently? Let me see if we can schedule that. And so one time I did get a chance to go down when you were at your old place.
That's right.
We were down there for Thanksgiving, and the hotel that we were staying in just happened to be literally 2 minutes away from your club.
Yeah, that was. I like that little place. It was frustrating because I couldn't have big classes. Once like 6 kids got in there, it was just packed.
I understand.
And now we have classes of 15, sometimes a little more, and it's like there's so much space, and it's it's trying to get the kids can't get close enough sometimes. I'm just like, come closer so I don't have to yell, please. Right. And no, but it's we're lucky we found the place, and we're lucky we had enough patience to build the floor, because that was a nightmare.
Yeah.
It was terrible to do it. It was great after when it was complete, and you look back and you're just like, oh man, I can't believe we actually built
finally
this.
have.
So, yeah, hopefully we'll just have more tournaments. We want to have a lot of tournaments because we have the space. Nobody in South Carolina holds tournaments anyways,
Right.
Or they hold
especially
like one.
Once Rick stopped doing some of his tournaments down at Columbia.
Yeah.
I remember I went to those number of times.
Yeah, because he used to do about 2 or 3, and then this is when I first started fencing. He'd have 2 or 3, and then USC would have 2.
All right. Do they still do the Sword and Stone or the Chicken Challenge?
Those are
101?
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, that was a whole fiasco.
I like those.
Yeah. But yeah, they don't do that. And then Tiger Open happened, and then a couple of the other clubs would hold stuff. But after 2008, I think a lot of people took a knock, and then everything just kind of started petering.
And I think same thing with us, especially with all the in North Carolina when we instituted the Observer program that cut off a lot of the tournaments, and also a lot of the small tournaments. So a lot of these big tournaments, especially like B rated, C rated, whatever. And when you've got young fencers, beginner fencers, going to those tournaments and just getting your butt handed to you, it's tough for them. So I liked when Raleigh Fencers was around, and also NCFDP when they were hosting tournaments.
Yeah.
These were, they had some high level tournaments, but they also had a lot of mid level tournaments that our beginner fencers go into, and I can win, a bout or two in the pools, but not come out this going, what the heck am I doing?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you need to get your butt kicked, but then there's a certain point where if you don't understand what happened,
Right.
there's no point. So that's what we're trying to bring back, a lot of E and unders, because I don't feel like people have those anymore, especially in
No,
South Carolina.
there really isn't.
And just try to have
the one I was planning, the sanctioned one I was planning in May was an E and under.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
hopefully I can still have that in May.
Well, they say tournaments can be sanctioned again past May 4th. So that date hasn't changed yet, so you still might be good there. So hopefully we'll have those. But, fencing's just so barren, and some of the clubs hold one, and it's costly to hold the tournaments too. Jane held Accept the Challenge 2 years in a row in Columbia, but I think she was just struggling to run it and do everything out of there, so it just hasn't happened the past 2 years.
Referees and
Correct.
The cost of observers, and then trying to get people to come out. I mean, the people that come out to mine, they're pretty regular. They know where I am. They're like, okay, Gerhard's right there. It's a pretty good tournament, great place. Some people, I think, I've actually heard this before, where they came out. They said, "Oh, we didn't realize Fayetteville was this close to us." Like, where did you think we were?
Yeah.
We thought we were this hole in this random part in Fayetteville. Like, no, I'm right off the 95.
Yeah.
So for some people, it's just like Fayetteville. What's Fayetteville? Okay, and also, I'm also in that particular situation where the Research Triangle area between RTF, Research Triangle Fencers, NCFDP, Mid-South, what else is? I think there's another club there.
Apex,
right? Like they're just at the center of fencing right there. Yeah. It's like, okay, I don't want to go to this tournament, or I can go to this tournament, which is 20 minutes away, as opposed to driving, an hour and a half down to Fayetteville. Yeah. And I've got my regulars, which I'm happy for, and they spread the words like, yeah, Fayetteville's a great place to go. You don't realize it's this close,
Yeah.
So I think I run into that every once in a while. But there's a nexus of fencing in the RTP area. Yeah. There's also a nexus of fencing in the Charlotte area. So sometimes people realizing, hey, Coach Gerhard and All American has some pretty decent tournaments, even though they're unsanctioned.
Yeah,
it's a great place to get some experience.
Yeah, we've been trying to hold, since we got into this space, we've been trying to hold an unsanctioned youth tournament every month, and then
we do that
every other month we do opens and or E and unders, and we're trying to get those in, because North Carolina probably is a lot harder because there's so many clubs doing tournaments. It's probably so hard to find a date for a sanctioned tournament. Whereas
it is.
Here,
I only do one per season, I think.
Here in South Carolina, it's just like, as long as you don't get it on the Tiger Open or the one tournament that Foothills Fencers hold, the tournament, is like, I pretty much have free reign to run a tournament whenever I want.
There's a new club in Hanahan in South Carolina.
That's us.
Oh no! Okay, not Hanahan. There's another one I'm thinking of that's closer to the border of North Carolina. I think they were only Epee.
In South Carolina? I have no idea.
Okay, I'll look that up.
What city? I was like, Hanahan. Hanahan's us, but because it's technically
no. There's something else, but I think they mostly do just Epee. I'll have to look it up. When I find it, I'll send it to you.
So it's barely fencing.
Yeah.
Half of the podcasts that I do are just jokes on Epee. You might as well. So I think, because that's the biggest thing is, if we have more tournaments here, especially in Charleston, but South Carolina's total, we'll have more people wanting to compete, and then more people coming down to compete. And because that's just the game. Charleston's a big enough city to have a couple clubs, really.
Right.
If not 3 or 4. But, it's a big enough city where we can pull a lot of fencers.
I would love to have another club in Fayetteville. I wouldn't mind a competition. That just means that fencing is growing. Correct.
And then you get your rivalry, you get your healthy people that, I gotta beat them next time, or I gotta do this, or absolutely. And I think that's extremely healthy for people, as long as it doesn't get toxic. Which I haven't seen a lot of toxic fencing behavior. There's some. but
There are some, definitely.
there's not.
But we don't go to those tournaments.
That's right. or it's toxic behavior on our U.S. fencing team members' Zoom conference.
Yeah, I just saw that. I'm like, what in the world?
Well, apparently they were saying that it was people have just been like going
Bombing.
going on random ones and doing that. But I mean, I don't know. I'm sure there's some fencers who feel that way. There has to be, just by sheer numbers.
Right.
But like I said, in the text message, like, it's crazy that happens, but it's not surprising to me that happens. That if you don't know when you're watching this, a couple people on a conference call for our U.S. fencing team members, Olympic team members, were racially abused in public. So it's on that. So they claim it was one individual, though some people said it was multiple. So I don't know. There's a couple of conflicting accounts, and they said that it was just a random person who came in. They don't think it's somebody in the fencing community. So, but apparently a bunch of from other sports and other Zoom calls have had that as well. So,
really,
we haven't had anybody on this conference call bomb in and racially abuse either of us. So I would consider that a success.
It was only two of us. So if anybody else jumped in, then we know.
Yeah. Though some people might consider my jokes on epee abuse.
Racially?
Weaponist abuse.
Weaponist?
Yeah. I think so, at least. I don't know. It's healthy banter. It's healthy banter. I mean, I'm sure if there was a critique of foil, they would make fun of that as well. But there isn't, because it is the perfect weapon. So it was the first weapon developed, right? Out of the three.
Historically, when I do my beginners classes, that's what I usually begin with, and in terms of describing the history of the weapons. Who knows when saber came around? It's just so different.
Yeah, saber, very different. But yes, I mean it's obviously, and historically it's the one everyone starts with, right?
Right.
So
depending on the club, of course.
Correct. Right. So there's some that are like single weapon, but it has aspects of the other two weapons as far as the rules and techniques.
Right.
For saber and epee, so there it is. But
I find if you can fence foil, you can apply yourself to a lot of the other weapons. But if you fence saber first, it's hard to, depending on the fencer. Like I've got Greta. I don't know if you probably met her once or twice. She's been to Wilmington. She's one of those that can switch off between foil and epee pretty easily. There's some people who fence like some foil habits are hard to get rid of when you're fencing epee.
It is very hard.
Like for me, when I fence epee, we had some great epee fencers that fence with us. Like, okay, they're attacking. I parry repost, and they just keep coming at me.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, I need to hold that parry and not let it go.
Yeah. When I first started, because I moved down here, I'd fence, and I was getting destroyed just because, you pull it up even a little bit, and they're just like, eh. And so I started fencing with a French grip, and I pommel. And it completely changes the way I have to focus more. It's a very simple game because it's like no blade work. And
because if you get caught in blade work, you are a goner.
and, just stay back and pick at them. And I do well with that. Quite well.
Our epee coach, Maya, who was with us for a while, she was my one coach that was a pommeler, and she taught everyone how to pommel. So it was great distance work.
Yeah.
When you worked with her, but everything was counterattacks. A lot of it was counterattacks, but point control was really great for her.
Yeah, I mean it's just basic simple work and focus and patience. I think is a lot of what that teaches too. Some people want to. A lot of people just want to make things happen just to make things happen because something's not happening. And I was like, no, just wait, just be patient. Something will come along.
Like a sniper, you just wait for the open. Manning, it's Manning is.
Yes, no, there. So that's
That's why I've been looking to the side. I had my other phone up looking up at the results.
It's the Clarendon County Dueling Society.
Yeah, that's what it was.
I've actually been coaching them for the past year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they do you know? I mean, he was epee, so you probably don't know him, but Daniel Johnson. He was at USC a little bit, and then he fenced for Jane as well. He helped them start it, I guess, but he had been coaching there for the past 2 or 3 years, and then he went off to grad school, and they contacted me, and so I've been going up once a week on Thursdays to help them.
How far?
Obviously not
Because
now.
Manning's not that far from the North Carolina, South Carolina border.
It's just at an hour from me.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I don't know really how far it is from North Carolina, but it's before Florence.
Yeah.
On 95.
And before Columbia for us.
Correct. So it's not too far. Yeah, it's just Epee.
Mm-hmm.
So I do have to coach Epee there.
I'll send some of my Epee fencers out there.
Yeah. But no, it's a nice little place. I'd never been to Manning. The only thing I know about Manning is in 2015, a guy came around and killed like 900,000 chickens. There's one guy, and he burned down a bunch of chicken on different farms, and he killed 900,000 chickens in one night. That's my fun fact about Manning, South Carolina.
I think Manning is always where I end up stopping to get what is it called? Krispy Kreme donuts on the way back to my parents' place.
Yeah, Krispy Kreme. Yeah, that sugar would make me crash on the way back home. That is what it is. So, well, I mean, I think we've gone quite a long, just over an hour. I think that's pretty good.
Right.
I don't know if we've run out of things to talk about, but yeah.
That's one of those two coaches. We've got a lot of things in common.
Yeah.
Not just a lot of things in common. We've seen each other in so many different tournaments, and we've gone back and forth. Like I was, really not. I won't say upset, but it's like, doggone it. It was one. You get to a certain age where you get to when you lose a tournament. It's like, okay, I accept what I did there. That was my fault. He was a great fencer. He did exactly what he needed to do to win that bout. I should have done this. I'll remember that next time. But I really enjoy my bouts with you.
Thanks.
It's to the point where you've got all these bouts where I could just kind of go through my normal motions. Okay, I can win this bout. Okay, now I've got to think about what I need to do with Patrick. He's doing this. I've got to change this. He's doing this now. I've got to change it over to this. I can't just. You're not one of those people where here's my normal trick. Oh, he falls for it and go.
Yeah.
I've got to really change it up. So it's always enjoyable having you there and having our fencers fence you too. Like our fencers that have started to get their ratings. I was like, hey, if you can get a couple touches on Patrick, great.
Yeah. I fancy myself a decent fencer. I think I'm fairly consistent. I think that's what I'm most happy about with my
great point control.
my base of work. I feel like you have to if you're tall. If you're not, you're just all over the place. So,
like I said, your feint and deceive just killed me in that bout. I'm like, I've got to start falling for that.
It's a good, it was like my bread and butter for the longest time. Was the feint deceive, but it is what it is. Thanks for coming on and doing this. I'm sure you got so much that's going on right now. There's no time to do this, so I appreciate you taking.
No, I've got anytime I can help color coaches. If you're, I don't know how much video stuff you're doing for your fencers, but every week we do one full class for our students, and so we tell them, hey, you can run it and and we try to structure everything so that it can be done in a limited amount of space.
Yeah,
and we also do different parts of the same drill. You can do this without a weapon. Here's how you do it with just your hand.
Gotcha.
Here's what you could do with half a pool noodle. Here's what you could do with one set of equipment and a target. Here's what you could do with one set of equipment and have your mom, dad, brother, sister wear the jacket and the mask, and you wear the glove and the weapon.
Yeah.
So we try to structure it so that everyone kind of do that, and they can do the whole hour all in one sitting, or okay, today I'm going to do footwork, today I'm going to do blade work, and I break it up. At this time period, you can skip to this time to do the blade work.
That's
you
a good
skip
idea.
to do it. So we've got a YouTube channel for All American Fencing. If
nice.
anybody, I tell everyone, hey, you wanna use our stuff. We're not putting it. We're subscription based only. I know some clubs are saying, okay, if you're a member, here's where you sign up and do our videos. Those live online clubs and teaching can be difficult sometimes, especially if you've got lagging issues.
Well, I also went on there was a conference call last week, and
Mhm.
they said even some of the live coaching live is, as far as the insurance, is a little awkward. That's what
Right,
they're saying.
right.
So everyone has to be a little careful with
Yeah,
doing it
I
completely
was in
live, like
our
virtual.
Region 6 conference call.
Yeah. And they're saying that. So I mean, it's all weird. But yeah, we've been posting. Amory's been posting stuff on the Facebook, and so hopefully we can get everybody through. But that's cool that you're doing full classes on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, fortunately, I've got kids that I can work with.
Yeah.
I've got my own kids that I've got a teenager, I've got a preteen, and I've got a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
So I'm able to demonstrate, okay, 10-year-old, here's what you can do without a weapon. Preteen, here's what you can do with a pool noodle. Here's what you could do with one set of equipment. So I've got a team, a pre-made team at the house that I can use. A little bit of again, I don't know if you're doing videos, but maybe something you might be able to do with podcasts, especially if you've got a pretty good following. For our small businesses in and around downtown Fayetteville, I've told them, hey, I'm doing these videos. We've got people that's watching them. If you want to sponsor these videos, here that helps us offset some of our costs that or the funding that we're not or our income that we're not bringing in on a regular basis. So we've gotten a little creative on some of the things that we've been doing.
Yeah, that's smart. Mm-hmm. Really smart. Well, I suppose we'll end it there. Thank you for everybody who's listening to the Loose Barrel podcast.
Thank you for inviting me.
The only fencing podcast that won't be foiled by coronavirus. I always get one in the whole podcast. One fencing pun.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Appreciate everybody tuning in.